One of the most important things we can do as Christians, humans, and fellow members of society is to serve each other. When we get outside ourselves, we are able to look at the pain of others and many times not only help others, but ourselves in the process. Jesus came here to suffer and serve. We should be honored to do the same. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and give his life as a ransom for many. This is a picture of our family, including our therapy dog Maggie and foreign exchange student at the Home for Veterans in Grand Rapids. We get more joy out of seeing the faces of those guys light up when we bring the dog to chapel than we could ever get from sitting at home reading the papers on Sunday. One of my biggest challenges is feeling useless when I can't get up or when I'm stuck in a wheelchair needing others to push me around. I can't help my husband around the house after he's worked all day, but don't ever neglect the importance of listening to your family, hearing them speak, taking care of yourself, and being joyful. Praising others for their work. These little things that you can do make all the difference in the world, to you and to those around you. I feel so much better when I feel like I've done something, especially for someone else. Charles Dickens said, "No one is useless in the world who lightens the burdens of another." There are many ways you can help, even without knowing it. Sometimes the most subtle and simplest details make all the difference. For the Lord gives us all different gifts to serve with. Sometimes they're not the obvious ones. We can't all stand in a food kitchen and cook for 5 hours or clean up someone's yard. However, the Lord is a little more specific. Mercy, prophecy, teaching, exhortations, contributions, and leadership are all spiritual gifts that can be used in His service. Paul is very detailed about these things, having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us. Let us use them. If prophecy, in proportion to our faith. If service, in our serving. The one who teaches, in his teaching. The one who exhorts, in his exhortation. The one who contributes, in generosity. The one who leads, with zeal. The one who does acts of mercy, with cheerfulness. First and foremost, the best and most effective services we can do for anyone is pray. Pray for others. Pray as to how we can use what the Lord has given us, the pain and the trials as well as the gifts. Prayer is quite simply the most powerful and efficient way to serve others. In addition to prayer, there are lots of things to do, even with physical limitations. You can join prayer chains. You can make phone calls. You can help with organization or paperwork, as you are able in a number of facilities. Donations, whether monetary or items, is a great way to help. Many times listening to a friend who needs an ear is another way of serving others. Research shows that those who demonstrate more altruistic social interests tend to enjoy higher levels of mental health, above and beyond the practical benefits of receiving help and other known psychospiritual stress and demographic factors that you would expect. Helping others not only benefits those we help, but gives us a purpose. Sometimes it's difficult to find ways to help out given our situations. Physical disabilities, financial limitations, emotional pain all hinder us from being able to function. However, research shows that this is extremely beneficial to everyone involved. Translation. It's like what they always say, an apple a day. Well, instead of an apple, help or pray for someone every day to keep the doctor away. The Lord calls us to serve. Okay, maybe not necessarily a tennis ball, but Paul tells us, "You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. Do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love." Anne Frank said it best, "No one has ever become poor by giving." And despite all her challenges, she still managed to give openly to others. Look at the smile on the beautiful little girl's face as she takes food into kids that would otherwise be hungry. There's nothing that brings more joy than the opportunity to connect with others through God's work. This shows that big or small, young or old, healthy or ill, service is something we can all do. This doesn't mean you need to push yourself or spend every day obsessing over how you can do something, and as with anything, we can take service to extremes. Serving to the point of where it becomes detrimental, even though we feel useful and helpful, like we are helping God and others, becomes a problem. If we get to the point where we begin to help others to the point where we harm ourselves and it becomes a habit to our identity, then we have to start looking at what we need to do. If we start putting our service to God and others above God's will, it's a habit just like any other and becomes painful and a problem. I am particularly guilty of this myself. We need to reverse our priorities so that God's will comes before our service and we are making sure we are listening to Him and doing His work. Sometimes the best thing you can do is rest and spend time with God. Rest is essential and important, and you need to serve yourself and your family too. Taking care of yourself is essential. You serve your God, your family, and others by taking care of yourself. God clearly instructs us to do so in Genesis and Exodus. In Genesis, God rests, and on the seventh day, God finished His work that He had done, and He rested on the seventh day from all of the work that He had done. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. He tells us to rest. Remember the seventh day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God, and on it you shall not do any work. You or your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates. In your quest to serve others, don't make it all you are. Dr. Donald Totten is constantly reminding me we are human beings, not human doings. Jesus reminds Martha when she gets upset at Mary for sitting quietly. In Luke verse 10, we see an example. Martha is bustling around desperate to serve the Lord, but her sister is sitting quietly, simply listening to His teachings, just being near Him. And Martha is bothered by this because she becomes too distracted with the idea that we need to be doing something all the time. Martha was distracted with much serving, and she went up to Him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister left me to serve alone? Tell her then to help me. But the Lord answered her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. Remember that service to the Lord, in that it is important to serve others, but there's an important balance that the Lord requires, especially as chronically ill, we need to take special heed. Be still, hear the Lord. This is a very important part of any day. Find enjoyment in the simple things, whether that be enjoying a cup of coffee, especially with a good friend, or giving $10 to a homeless shelter, or taking an afternoon nap in a sunny window. Through the pain and with the pain, follow the word of the Lord. There is nothing better for a person than he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also, I say, is from the hand of God, for apart from Him, who can eat or drink, or who can have enjoyment? Pray continuously. The Lord will guide your path. If you question what to do, pray. If you question what not to do, pray. If you question whether to take it easy, pray. Dear Lord, please help me to serve you. Show me what that means. I ask that you guide me as to how I can glorify your name and use whatever strengths I have today to serve you best. I submit to your guidance and will. If that means giving, serving, resting, or reading your word, Lord, I am your humble and willing servant. Please use me today according to your wishes. Amen.